All right, look at that. Pop Will Eat Itself is in the car. It's Car con Carne. We have no food. I should have bought you food. I'm sorry. Are you hungry?
I've just eaten. Found a nice Middle Eastern sort of. Well, it was just like a little restaurant. It was very nice.
A falafel house.
Yeah.
Plenty of good food in Chicago.
There's lots of good food in Chicago.
Yeah.
We're known for that. So Pop Will Eat Itself. We're in front of Metro, I should say, Car con Carne, presented by the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston. A bit of a stone's throw from, let's say, Britain. But Pop Will Eat Itself, we're in front of Metro for Cold Waves. Tonight, the annual benefit. It's 3 nights of incredible industrial, mostly, music. You're headlining tonight around 11 o'clock. So long after the specter of the Cubs has disappeared from the area, Pop Will Eat Itself on stage.
It's Car con Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Car con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
All right, so introductions. You are.
I am Graham Crabby of Pop Will Eat Itself.
And I am Mary Byker of Pop Will Eat Itself, and over the years various other things.
Well, that's the thing. Everyone who's playing this weekend has played in like 20 different projects, and everyone knows there is an incestuous vibe to the whole industrial type scene.
That's right. Well, because even you, Graham, you've been in. You played with Primitive Race, which is another.
Yes,
thing.
I've done stuff with Primitive Race, which is very exciting. It's some good stuff.
So I've worked with Pigface, and obviously I was in the Gaye Bykers and Acid before.
Well, I think everyone's worked with Pigface.
Yeah.
I think I'm in Pigface.
You probably are. I'm supposed to be going on tour with them in November, so.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. So let's go back to the very beginning with Pop Will Eat Itself. I remember I first heard Pop Will Eat Itself probably in '89. Back then, was the use of samples kind of like the American Wild West? Could you just get away with whatever? Like here's an Iggy sample, here's a Lips Incorporated sample.
Kind of. It was one of those, you had to run it by the record company, and there were some things that they just said no to. A lot of it, they said, okay, we'll run with it. And some people knock on the door and send you letters and say, we want a bit of money for that. But it wasn't. I mean, nowadays, you hear stories of people using something and they get hit for 100%. So it was never that bad. We had to pay out a few grand here and there, but it was pretty much Wild West stuff. You could get away with a lot.
Here's what being in Chicago is like. We're actually in front of Metro. We're parked right in front of Metro. You're the headliner. People are just, they don't even care. They don't even pay attention. Oh, people are just eyes forward. They're not curious about anything. They're just going to where they need to go to. They don't realize that Pop Will Eat Itself is sitting right in front of Metro right now.
Yeah, if only they knew.
If only they knew. If only they knew.
Suckers.
Yeah, from the beginning, Graham, Pop Will Eat Itself has always been, I think, kind of difficult to pigeonhole. There's punk spirit. There's obviously industrial and dance and elements of hip-hop. And I think that's the secret to a cool band, isn't it? A band that you see on stage and you walk away saying, what the hell did I just see? And that's always kind of been your vibe.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I never saw it as intentional as that, but now you say it was kind of, it's very much true that we've never wanted to be pigeonholed, and I've always felt very uncomfortable if somebody does pigeonhole us and think that we're this or that, and I'm thinking, well, no, we're not.
But you're right. It's an interesting band is something that doesn't do the same thing as everybody else. But the definition of being pigeonholed is actually, it's easy. They're this, and I agree. I think Poppy's. I joined the band late on, and I've had to learn the songs. We've just been doing this last year. This is the day. This is the hour, which is such a great. I didn't really. I remember the records at the time. But on sort of repeated listen, because I had to learn the songs, I just realised what a really great record it was. And I couldn't really say it's an industrial record, it's not a hip-hop record, it's not a punk record. It's all of those things. And for that reason, I do think it's a genuinely overlooked great record.
It's a great record, and it's 30 years old this year, which is stunning to me.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Well, tell me about that era. I mean, Pop Will Eat Itself, this was really the breakthrough. I mean, I will forever have We Like the Music. It's stuck in my head just on repeat. Tell me what it was like breaking through during that time in '89?
Well, we'd done some stuff which was more sort of punky, poppy to begin with, and that was all well and good. But then as soon as we got in the studio, we saw all this technology and thought, wow, wouldn't it be great to use or know how to use this equipment? And so we'd try and hook up with people who did know how to use it, and we started listening to tracks that did use those type of instruments, and so it's a bit of a learning process, really. I think the first album, Box Frenzy, if I listen back to it now, I think you can tell it was kind of that was our apprenticeship, if you like. And this is the days where it connected, and
sure.
That's where we got our swagger, and we knew what we were doing and knew that we were good at it, I guess.
A couple years after that, Pop Will Eat Itself was unceremoniously dumped from RCA. That was peak grunge. That was Nirvana era. They didn't know what to do with you.
Mm.
At that point, did you think, maybe we just need to wait this out? Like, when pop culture will catch back up to us? Or do you think, well, fuck those guys?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, they sort of wanted us to take that extra step, to having top 10 records and, being... I suppose they'd invested money in us and wanted to see a return on that investment. Whereas we weren't really that career-minded. We were more interested in our art and having fun.
Uh-huh.
So there was kind of a clash of interests there.
Well, and the joke was on them, because a couple of years later you hit with RSVP and Ich bin ein Ausländer, which are still... I mean, those hold up to this day. Those are great songs.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, it was the same A&R guy at the major label we got sacked from, who then set up his own independent label and took us on, because he always believed in us.
Yeah.
So he was kind of a lone voice at the major label. So it's, Corda Marshall always believed in us and took us on, and when he started his new label, we were his first act.
I love it. You are the only through line in the Pop Will Eat Itself story. How would you, looking back on all these years of Pop Will Eat Itself, how would you define the Pop Will Eat Itself story, legacy?
Wow, that's a big question.
It is. You're not on stage for a couple hours. We got nothing but time.
That's true.
I don't know how to answer that.
Well, how about, let me rephrase. What were the high points, or what are the things you remember the most? It could be emotions. It could be specifics.
Yeah. Being asked to tour with Run DMC and Public Enemy was a great honour. Ditto 9 Inch Nails. Having Trent put us on his label over here. So things like that, where you know that you've got the respect of your peers, I think is something special. I do try not to think about it too much, and I just try to let it be organic. That's why I find it a difficult question.
Yeah, I get that.
Because I don't.
Because you're an active artist.
Yeah, I don't have a master plan. It's, to me, it is what it is at any particular time, and it's kind of, just let it be. Don't put too much thought into it.
Is it easier to be Pop Will Eat Itself now, given the evolution of technology? I mean, we all three of us have computers in our pockets, basically. I mean, compared to the days where you probably were sitting in front of a bunch of reel-to-reels and who knows what.
It's easier in some ways, but then when you consider how hard it is now to get away with samples, and to be honest, samples are still just intrinsic and ingrained in probably every time I sit down to write some music, there's going to be something sampled in there. That's what I do. So it becomes a case of having to disguise it more, having to use sound that people can't go, they've used that. You have to just be, you have to be cleverer with it.
Let's talk a little bit about Cold Waves, which is why we're here tonight, 3 nights. A lot of bands with direct ties to Chicago are on the bill. I mean, I think 16 Volt and Chem Lab are like honorary Chicagoans at this point. What's your feeling? Is there a sense that, okay, as an artist and as part of this community, I should be here and
as you were saying earlier about like the collaboration thing, that's a great thing in music. People actually, and I think, you know, when we actually did this before, and we were wondering how it would go down. It's like, is it industrial? You know, obviously there was the Nine Inch Nails Association, and to feel a part, you do actually feel a part of a community, and I think that is quite genuine with everything, and it's great. You know, it's like everybody gets on pretty well, and you know, everyone seems to know each other. A lot of these people in a lot of these bands are into, you know,
Yeah.
We've got a drummer, we've got a stand-in drummer today who's played in a few of the other with some of these guys. So yeah, I think and obviously the Metro and this particular spot has a great part of the history of the music. I mean, when I first came here, sort of, I guess it was the early 90s, and I was playing in Pigface, Chicago was the hottest, the coolest place on earth. You know,
That was the time. Yeah.
I remember rehearsing with Pigface, and we would go to, we went to a bar somewhere, and in walked Bono and Julia Roberts and The Edge, like, and it was something like the Rainbow, or some small little bar in sort of nowhere, but they were in Chicago to sort of suck up the vibe, and it was just so happening. So, and it was, but nobody really realised it was going on, but it was very exciting, and it's Chicago's always had that sort of, between LA and New York, it had the sort of best elements of both. So I think it's sort of everything sort of really, and it's sort of out of the way enough to sort of have its own culture where it sort of incubates and sort of does its own thing. So yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I think obviously the whole Jamie Duffy and the fact that it raises money and awareness for.
And that's what I was kind of getting at, and I realized I have a hard time talking about it. It's a hard thing to bring up, and which I guess speaks to the importance of this event.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a hard time saying, so you're doing this thing which is about, you know, preventing suicide.
Yeah.
It's hard to talk about.
I don't think people talk about it enough either. You know, and I think it's something, if people have those feelings, that there's not a lot of. There's not a great deal of support, because people don't talk. It's a taboo.
Exactly.
It's like you're supposed to internalize these things. So I think, you know, obviously anything that can bring that consciousness to people, and that they can talk about it, and that this is, we've turned something. They have, you know, Jason, the guys who put this thing on, have turned that around, the situation that happened, and they tried to make something positive out of it. And the fact that he loved that kind of music, and he was a pivotal part of the community, so that's great. You know, so as far as that's concerned, that makes it even better. You know, because it's like it started off as one gig,
right?
Turns out now it's like 4 days, and then now they're doing it in Los Angeles as well. So I hats off to Jason and
for sure.
For the,
this is not easy to put together.
Yeah,
not at all. What's next for Pop Lead itself?
We got 3 more dates in the States. We do Baltimore, Providence, and Denver, and then we go back home. We tried to do the West Coast, but there was visa issues, shall we say, so hopefully we can do that at some point. I don't know when, but that'll have to be rescheduled. All right.
Thank you. Pop Lead itself. This is Carne. Thank you for watching on Facebook. Tell a friend. Support them. We've loved them now for 3+ decades.
Wow.
Which seems implausible because we're all 25.
Yeah, I'm 26.
Thank you for watching. Thank you, Pop Lead itself.
Cheers. Thank you
guys.